How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac extra value meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher. Last year's critically acclaimed series returns to follow Evan, Gwen, and Marky as they vie for their students' divided attention. See why Cosmopolitan called its premiere season a masterclass of comedy, while Glamour raved it's the year's funniest and most heartwarming new comedy series. FX's English Teacher, all new Thursdays on FX. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Tom, what is the most bizarre culinary preference one of your family members has?
Oh, I love this question. Okay, my brother likes to microwave his ice cream into a soup to the point where when he was a kid, I'll never forget it, he burnt his tongue on ice cream.
Wait, he still does this as an adult?
I think so. I think he likes his ice cream extremely soft, does not like hard ice cream.
My father always did very strange things with half bagels. For instance, slathering it with mayonnaise and then putting a piece of bologna over it and then just eating an open-faced bagel sandwich. That was always the thing that grossed me out. It was like the Annie Hall family, except we were the Halls. Like, who eats a bagel with mayonnaise and bologna? You know who does? My father.
You know what? Doesn't sound too bad.
No, it sounds terrible. This is Pack Your Knives. I'm Kevin Arnovitz.
And I'm Tom Haberstroh.
Tom, we get the feeder back from Last Chance Kitchen into the main competition, which, I mean, do we want to lead with that? Because I just think that was a particularly dramatic moment before we actually get to the episode in hand. I kind of feel like this is the one week we kind of flip it, and we should really go into what was an interesting Last Chance Kitchen finale. What do you think?
Yeah, we had a 2-part Last Chance Kitchen finale. The first one was like 15 minutes. The second one was 22. So I kind of feel like it was like its own full episode, like of Top Chef, and it was jam packed with intrigue because they do the thing where, hey, you're going to have some special guests, they're going to do a blind tasting, and you kind of know that, oh, the chefs are coming back and doing the tasting. And contrary to what we thought going into this episode that we teased last week, it wasn't that they were going to be back into the competition and then they'd have to face another. Like, when they showed Shota coming in, I was like, are they going to bring Shota into the competition? Because I kind of felt like that would have been a twist at the very end, that maybe some producer was like, let's bring in a total ringer here at the end. But no, it was just a 2-part thing where the first challenge was 3 C's, Jay versus Sarah, creamy, chewy, and crunchy. They had to prepare 6 plates, 1 for Tom and then 5 for the chef testants who were in the stew room. And they did pretty well here.
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, it was interesting to watch them anguish over the little preference on the first dish, which determined the extra time. I thought that was a really interesting sort of feature to the the exercise, because what they essentially had to do was each create a dish, which would then be judged as a preliminary dish. And the better the chefs liked it, the more time the chef would get then for the finale dish that would ultimately determine whether or not that chef would return.
Yeah, and I think just like we see in the NBA, like the final score doesn't tell you how close a game was.
Right.
It was 5-0. Sarah won every single one of the votes, but I think it was pretty close here. She did a golden raisin relish on a squash tempura, and Jay did a shrimp boil with some andouille sausage, and it was just, you know, two really strong dishes that each of the chef testants were very gentle in their responses, just like, oh, I love this dish, but I had to go with Sarah here. And I was curious, in a little game theory here, Kevin, let's say you're a chef testing, tasting the food, and you know Jay is doing one of the dishes. Would you rather vote for Jay's dish, knowing she would get an advantage against this rolling opponent, whoever she's facing in Last Chance Kitchen? Knowing you know which one's Jay's dish, right? Because she cooks a certain type of food. Do you vote for Jay to get the strong incumbent out of there, or do you just go for just pick the best dish?
So basically, you're asking if I sandbag against the spirit of the game in order to ensure a better outcome for me.
I'm just saying, do you kind of in the back of your head say, you know, do I want Jay back in the competition, or do I want this juggernaut who's been slaying people in Last Chance Kitchen?
I don't know. I mean, I'm still, despite what we've discussed with the Warriors Memphis series and various codes, I am somebody who still believes you have to abide by the spirit of the game. I'm not, because that's all my thing is. I want it to be competitive, but within the framework of the norms of the game. And the norm here says, you know what, like the job is to reward the chef that cooked better with more time. I'm not going to reverse that. I am not a nihilist. Are you a Top Chef nihilist, Tom? It sounds like you're a Top Chef nihilist.
No, I'm a competitor.
Okay.
I want to give myself the best chance at winning Top Chef.
You would equate it with a flop. What you're saying is not foul a guy in midair knowing it's kind of it could hurt and injure the guy. What you're saying is you would flop.
Well, you know, Marcus Smart did win Defensive Player of the Year, didn't he?
He did.
He's incentivized to flop. And so is Chris Paul. And so is, you know, everybody in the NBA is incentivized to flop because it works. And I think in this competition, you need to do everything that works in your favor to win it all. And I think, you know, Sarah getting the 45 minutes is an advantage. But I was curious because I once I saw Jay sitting there with her hands tied, not able to do anything, but she did get to think.
Yes.
She did get to conceive her dish in quiet and figure out her dish. Whereas I'm curious, did Sarah have 15 minutes to think about her dish before she jumped in head first?
This is a great point and one I wanted to discuss with you. Did we learn, because Sarah alludes to it a little bit in the main episode, where she says, where she runs into trouble, she suggested that the reason she succeeded during this long run in Last Chance Kitchen is she's not given enough time to think herself into trouble, right? Where the reason she had become a strong competitor in Last Chance Kitchen was, hey, you just go cook. And it's only when you have to go home and brood the night before, what do I do, that you talk yourself into trouble. And I did wonder that is one of the great, and this is kind of actually beyond kind of Last Chance Kitchen or Top Chef or cooking, is sometimes time, not in the sense that, oh, you'll just waste it anyway, but like, is thinking the best remedy for this problem that is quick fire, right? Like, is it better to have 15 minutes to think and 30 minutes to cook, or 45 minutes to, quote, do whatever you want? And what you're suggesting, what I think might be true, certainly for some chefs, is better you do have to kind of sit there and meditate for 15 minutes on what you're going to do, where you sort of mentally plan out. And I agree with you. Like, look, I think you always want more time in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But I think one of the unintended consequences of not being able to cook is you have to sort of think strategically about the 30 minutes that's coming up, and planning does serve a purpose.
In the end, Sarah did win. She prevailed. She was victorious in this. She does a gnocchi with ricotta and herbs. Jay does a spaghetti squash snapper broth with clam, which, man, that looked like a really delicious dish. I saw that and I was like, yeah, I would order that in a hot second. She hasn't done that one before, apparently. But Sarah moves into the competition. And I'm so glad she's there, Kevin, because I love watching her on this show. I loved watching her and her sister interact. I thought they could be a really good, compelling reality TV show if they were just out in some random city in America having to live by themselves and just stick it into the elements. And I thought she's really compelling on TV. Sarah is just fantastic. And then her sister, when she was doing the breaking the fourth wall and looking at the camera earlier, I just love everything about Sarah. And I'm really upset that she's on your team and not mine, because not only do I think she's an excellent cook, but she is a great shows person. She's great on TV. And I just think she's really fun. So she's back, and there's 6 left going in Elimination Challenge.
Yeah, and I think the show missed Sarah this year. I mean, very much at the end of the day, this is a cast for a show that is an entertainment product, and the more compelling the characters, the more compelling the show. There have been some fun characters. I do feel like Sarah has this sort of unfiltered interior monologue that she is sharing with the viewer, that you don't want everyone to be that neurotic and recursive in their self-awareness, but I do think it really helps, and we miss Sarah this season. I think Sarah would have been a really nice presence week in, week out. I like hearing her internal monologues. I like hearing how she kind of processes the game. I think she's a really good proxy for a viewer. She wants to win. She's also a little bit unnerved by the competition, which you should be, because it's kind of stressful, and that's what makes it a competition. Anyway, I'm glad to see her back. I do want to talk about some of her decisions in coming back, because I really like this episode, actually. The main show. We started with a great challenge I think you and I both loved, which is what's better than a seafood tower? Mm-hmm, Nothing's better than a seafood tower. And then we went into the family dinner. But let's talk about Galveston Beach, where I've never been, actually, Tom. And you and I are pretty well traveled in the southeastern United States. I have never been to the Texas coast, largely because we have the Carolina coast, who needs the Texas coast. But I've come to appreciate kind of the Texas coast just by quick viewing here.
Yeah, and I think it was Nick, or maybe it was DeMar, who said it felt a lot like New Orleans. Felt a lot like New Orleans there. The architecture, just the on the Gulf there, it did look like to me, I've never been to Galveston, but it did feel like very similar to that. And I love a good seafood tower, and the fact that you could do the hot or cold dishes. Like, I was all about that idea. And the weather was bad. We'll get to that later, but it was, I thought, one of the strongest episodes we've had this season, because there was the element of mystery. And yes, they picked up on the whole family member coming back concept. But when we do a seafood tower and I'm watching them cook, it comes back to my pet peeve is shelled shrimp. I just can't do it. I don't understand it. And the fact that Ashley comes in with her jerk shrimp that looked delicious, but then would get all grimy and sticky, and your hands are all dirty. Padma loved it. And me, I'm just like, get rid of the shell and cook that baby right there.
I mean, I noticed there's been a lot of discourse lately around the annoyance of having to take off your tails and shells on shrimp in prepared dishes that you spend lots of money on. And I am on the member of the team of I don't want to work. That is why I'm paying you to cook my food and to bring it to me. Is I do not want to do work. It's why I don't order crab. That I have to. If you're serving me a hardware tool out of a toolbox at the table, a mallet, a tweet, whatever it is, the utility of the meal has been sacrificed.
My Uncle George got a hammer one time to open up a lobster craw that we got back home in Connecticut. Yeah.
Now, I mean, the one exception I'll make is every once in a while, like a true crawfish broil. I mean, crawfish requires a little work, and I think that I'll indulge a little bit. But I can't decide on this show whether it was too difficult to eat. I feel like we generally see a number of times during the season, quick fire, possibly like, hey, this was difficult to eat. You were one of our least favorite dishes. And then there are times where they're totally willing to, to take it. Yeah. Like that peel and eat shrimp from Ashley, which looked delicious though, was like, I kind of said that's going to be a mess. She's going to get dinged for just how messy it is. But
surprise moment. Yeah.
I really like this challenge. I love oysters, as you know. The watermelon mignonette from Nick. On my scallop crudeau, which you've seen on Instagram, I do a watermelon sake consomme for my scallop crudeau. So I love watermelon with seafood. whether it's a mignonette, a vinaigrette, the consomme, whatever. So I was very into his. I loved all of the raw oysters. I thought Sarah made an interesting choice. It didn't work in her favor, but doing a hot buttered oyster, kind of oyster on fire with the peach relish, which actually looked delicious.
With the breadcrumbs, I love a good breadcrumb.
I love a little crunchiness on an oyster. I'll eat oysters all day raw, but I liked Damar's peach and tamari vinaigrette. I'm going to try that at home. I need to start. You know what, Tom? We all need to kind of start making oysters at home. It's a little difficult learning how to shuck those things, but like, what's better than putting out, sort of oysters on the half shell with some yummy vinaigrette or mignonette or ets of some kind.
Yeah, there's an oyster shop down the street from us here in Charlotte, and it closed up shop, and I was really bummed out about that because it's just like a good Friday afternoon. The weather's hot, and you're just like, you know what? Let's just go get like a couple dozen oysters and shuck those babies and gulp them down. It's great. It's great to have. And then look, I get the feeling that dill is that a polarizing herb?
My sister despises it, and I love it. And, it's funny. Nothing's polarizing when you like it. It's only polarizing when you don't like it. And I do know a number of people for whom dill is just. Are you anti-dill?
No, I'm pro dill. I'm pro dill, but I've friends that just can't do dill. And watching Sarah do the dill pickled shrimp and saying it's a favorite of her mother's, I just remember, like, is dill higher on the polarizing power rankings of herbs, higher than cilantro? I feel like cilantro is the king.
Well, not to me, because I like dill and I don't like cilantro. No, I think cilantro is more polarizing. Or maybe it's just me because I hate it. And but it's
up there. Dill is up there.
Yeah, I do think it has its detractors. I want to talk about Evelyn for a second, just because I think she continues to declare herself really the strong number 2 in this competition right now. She finished at the top on both the quickfire and the elimination, which we'll talk about shortly. She does, and again, it's that sort of Chef Gregory. She knows her favorite profile. She knows how to assemble the dish with the component parts to accentuate that profile. And she does it with great competence, and it's coherent, right? Oyster with a fish sauce vinaigrette, chili oil, crispy shallots. Give me some sweetness, some pungency, some spice, some texture, right? Boom, 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 boom. Oyster with fish sauce, vinaigrette, chili oil, crispy shallot. I say it to you in 7 words. It makes absolute sense. You want to taste it. It looks good. And then she comes back with her hot seafood tower item, which is the Thai Cajun boil. Again, familiar thing. We've seen more damn variations on shrimp boils and Cajun this and Southeast Asian boils, and she did it. It's something we've seen, and she perfected it, right? Like, she's really impressive. She is a strong number 2. I think she's got a shot to upend Buddha. It's going to be difficult because he's just he's just right now really cooking beautifully, but she's really established herself as just somebody who understands how to win in this competition.
And you never feel like she's stressed when she's cooking.
No.
Everything is so efficient, and I think having that blueprint from which she can work off of is so advantageous in this competition. She never feels like she's running out of time or she can't execute something. She just seems so in control. And that goes a long way in this competition. Whereas you'll see in the next one, in the elimination challenge, Sarah didn't have her best dish in the quickfire, and she certainly didn't have it in this one. She started overthinking, and maybe, look, I want to chalk it up to fatigue. Like, Sarah just didn't seem like she was making good decisions on this episode. And I could tell as she's just like gulping down coffee in the car and just talking about how fried she is. I kind of feel like she's the opposite of Evelyn, where she's just all over the place sometimes in her mind. And on this one, it showed that when she had to do a tuna dish from her sister, mentioned she wanted tuna, and they get these menus from the secret diners, and they start to pick it up. And she screwed up on this one. She didn't get sent home for it, but she really screwed up because she's never really cooked tuna before, which is a huge surprise to me. Not that like tuna is a staple of Jamaican food or Minnesota food. Isn't she from Minnesota? I feel like she's from Minnesota.
Michigan, but actually grew up in right. Jamaica, partly.
Right. I can't really believe that she's never sliced a tuna steak before.
Yeah. So first of all, I have to say, it always makes me nervous when people have uncovered coffee in the car. I don't think you should get into a car with uncovered coffee, a mug or something. I mean, I suppose so. If it's below half, if you're just kind of finishing up, it always makes me nervous. I don't like potential spillage. It makes me nervous. I don't like cups that are over full. I'm amazed when you go to some of these bars. I went to a place in San Francisco where the server was literally had the froth from the sort of pisco sour-ish cocktail is over the rim, and yet they're able to get through the table of a very crowded restaurant. I don't like exposed fluids and wide-brimmed cups that are uncovered. That made me very nervous. This was an interesting challenge, which was it was actually they did a kind of a nice little curveball here. There was going to be a family VIP coming to vacation in Galveston. They wanted a private chef or a series of private chefs, as it were, and each chef got a folder of one of the family members in this party that in their bizarro, weird, strange or not strange or preferences or aversions. And then slowly but surely, all the chefs realized that the folder they were given as the profile of their client was actually a family member. And Sarah figured this out because the client hated mushrooms, and that is a signature of her loud, boisterous, loving sister. And Buddha said that there's the combination of like and aversions where like somebody liked a club sandwich and some a tom yum soup or something. So it was very clear, and it was kind of heartening that of course, yes, these are preferences of your family member. So essentially the challenge was make a family style dish that services the culinary preferences of this particular family member, and that was the challenge, a family style dish. You like the premise, Tom?
I loved it. And I felt a little bad for Damar because, man, as someone whose mother is also in a wheelchair, I kind of watched this episode and thought a lot about my mother and if there was a challenge like this, who would be there for me? And, he was going through it emotionally, as we saw in this episode, a rare moment of him just wearing his emotions on his sleeve. And because he had Eric, his boss, which everyone else has like these feel good moments, big hugs. And then he gets Eric Williams there, who's, yes, his friend, but he also it's his boss. And so he's inside his own head about, serving food to his boss, which is another type of judge. Right. And, but I loved watching Buddha and his wife and getting that backstory. Nick and his mother. I mean, is there anything better than that? Like they're on the back porch and hugging and reminiscing. And, that was just really just special to see. Ashley, same thing. And look, Evelyn just is, it's great. She's been such a welcome participant on this show because of the Houston aspect, but she's great. And
listener, listen up. This is important. Okay. I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees. No BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago, and I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered with 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with the cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings. Hello, listener. It's producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now, close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the Dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
It was a really heartwarming episode, and I was hoping that's the direction that they were going, is the family reunion. Once I got that, I was like, I hope they bring some of their family members back, and it would be really cool to see. But Kevin, I gotta say, the Verbo thing, as soon as they introduced that, I said, ooh, we're gonna get some drama about a tiny kitchen, or there's just not enough burners, or they're gonna be scrapping for space. And we got none of that. It's more it's not Top Chef, it's Soft Chef this season, where in years past, when they have one like little tiny kitchen that they have to work in, there are turf wars all over the place, and there's just battles, and it gets bloody and it gets nasty. And on this one, I feel like everyone just played nice and it was just lovely. And I was so bummed out. I was like, oh, can we get some more of that conflict?
Yeah, it is. I was hoping that we'd get a little kind of my space, my place stress, and even Nick alluded to the fact that we can all kiss and make up, but there was no making up. There was just pure kissing. This is yet the most either well edited or well behaved or just magnanimous group of chefs and competitors I've ever seen. Was hoping that this would contribute to a little bit of just it doesn't have to be all out warfare, but just a little.
Yeah. Like, hey, that's my oven,
some tension,
right? Like that was my dibs on the oven, right? And just a little bit of like elbows here and there, but
But it is Soft Chef right now. It's just kind of a phase the show might be going through. I will say that I was, I did really feel for Damar, obviously not being able to have his mom. Meanwhile, his Eric Williams has a restaurant called Virtue in Hyde Park in Chicago, where I could not get a table. It was really eager to eat there in one of my 2 off nights in Chicago, and just could not get a table. It was he's been nominated, I think, for Best Chef Midwest. Folks love this restaurant. It is where Damar, I believe, is chef de cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
And Williams himself is the owner or proprietor, and looks fantastic. So I'm actually really excited, next time I'm up in Chicago to do this. But yeah, he kind of represented Damar's family. And the interesting decision-making, as you said earlier, when you have kind of an open-ended assignment like this, you have certain parameters. Hey, family members want certain things and don't want other things. But by and large, this is a big open-ended challenge, right? Buddha can make anything, and Buddha goes against the grain here.
Yeah.
A matriciana, which he calls marry me pasta, because it is a pasta, very rustic, basic dish, right? Like it's roasted tomatoes, some sort of ham, garlic, very basic kind of family style Italian.
Little red pepper, little spice in there, little heat. Yep.
There's not huge technique here. It is just home cooking. It is the last thing I would ever expect to see Buddha make in the latter rounds of Top Chef, which made it all the more kind of impressive. And not that, I also felt like Tom, that I knew he was going to nail it, and I figured he'd get on the top and not win, right? Because it is sort of a easier low ceiling dish for a chef like Buddha, and it was. The difference is the ceiling was very high, because ultimately I thought Damar was going to win this. Damar made the dish that I would have ordered of the 6 off the menu, right?
I was stunned.
Yeah.
Stunned. Floored that Damar didn't win this one.
Same here. The red fish with the herb crust, the white beans with the andouille and the pine nuts. Like, that is my dish right there.
Oh, yeah.
And it looked great. Evelyn with the crispy snapper, the sweet vinegar. By the way, a classic Evelyn Chef Gregory dish. I know I keep making this parallel, but I love seeing sort of just making parallels between previous Top Chef contestants that have succeeded and new ones. I just think she's so in that school of chef. But those 3 dishes were the top. But it was the rustic matriciana. I love saying that word, Tom. Matriciana. Oh, I screwed it up there. But the marry me pasta that by the way, Buddha's wife is beautiful. Not that I should be surprised. It's just like, wow. I got to watch this episode, Tom, in a bunker suite at Chase Center in San Francisco. A member of the Golden State Warriors staff is a huge Top Chef and Pack Your Knives fan. And I said, well, why don't I come back to San Francisco on Thursday for Game 6 on Friday? Why don't we watch the show together? And I figured, wherever, somewhere, maybe my hotel, whatever. And he said, why don't we watch it in a bunker suite, just feet away from the floor at Chase Center?
Whoa.
So we went into a bunker suite where tech titans spend hundreds and thousands of dollars a year for their own little area with wine and these couches and this huge TV in each screen with the 9 panels. And what did we do? We watched Top Chef in Chase Center. And that was my evening. I got to watch Top Chef just feet away from the Warriors floor during the postseason.
Did your pal have any thoughts on this season that were different from your own, or any takes we can share with the audience here?
Similar to us, I think, thinks the show has gotten a little less competitive. Still loves the show. We all love the show. But I think, I think shares many of our, I wouldn't even say misgivings, just we've noted that the show's a little softer. It's a little softer, a little less kind of, as you say, the elbows aren't as sharp. The competition isn't as fierce. Losing doesn't seem as consequential. Winning, for that matter, doesn't seem as consequential. But again, we both say, we salivated over the seafood towers.
Yeah.
And obviously the better dishes at the family dinner.
Did you feel after watching this episode that taking Buddha over the field was still the smart choice.
Yeah.
Like anything you saw here, I felt the same way. Is that when he did that homey soul filled dish of the Matriana, a Matriana dish, I felt like that was a level that I didn't know, or a place that I didn't know Buddha could go. And he showed that he has that kind of range. And I think that played a part in why they chose him as the winner, is because I think that he showed a side of himself in this dish, not just because of his wife and the story behind it, but because of the execution of this dish. It wasn't fussy, as Gail said. And I think that played a role. As much as we like to think that they have goldfish memories as judges, they don't think about what you've cooked in the past. I do think that he got bonus points on this one because of the fact it was so different. And I really felt bad for Damar because I thought he had the winning dish, and the responses that he got were just over the moon about his dish. Phenomenal. It was a moist, cozy fish that Sheldon said. And I just felt like and by the way, Sheldon and Adrian, hey, great to see them.
Great guest judges.
Yeah.
Tom, great guest judges.
So good to see them. And so I was sitting there being just like, oh, Damar's winning this, no doubt. And even though Buddha might not win, I kind of feel like he's better odds to win this Top Chef because of that dish that he made, even though it's not going to win. And sure enough, he wins. He gets his 4th win of the season. And I just thought that was a big surprise. And, my scorecard, I had Damar winning, Buddha in the top 3, obviously, and Evelyn. And then the bottom, I had, of course, the rest, Ashley, Sarah, Nick. And I did see Ashley as going home.
Yeah, I had the 4, 5, 6 pretty well defined. I think it was very clear. It was Nick, Sarah, Ashley, 4, 5, 6. I, like you, had Damar 1 with Buddha and Evelyn 2 and 3, whichever it was. Clearly the judges saw it Buddha 1, Damar 2, Evelyn 3. Nick 4, Sarah 5, Ashley 6. I always like to play that game where, we know top and bottom. Can you kind of make even finer distinctions? I go so back and forth on this. Is a kind of a philosophical Top Chef question, which is, are you a strict constructionist that in a perfect world, these dishes would be served blind and you wouldn't know who made them and the judges would make their decision? Or should any part of kind of personal journey be part of the judicial process, right? Should Buddha get extra regard because, hey, he normally doesn't cook rustically. He tends to prefer technicalities, sometimes at the expense of hominess, or if not at the expense of, and certainly before hominess, right? And clearly, I'm with you. I do think, look, the judges are not, they're human beings. And so Tom, you've written for years about sort of, bias and unconscious bias and evaluating talent or skill. I mean, you've done it beautifully on the subject of basketball, and there's no reason to believe that it doesn't exist here. And I'm with you there. And the question is, do I mind? And I don't know that I do. I really don't know that I do. You probably mind more than I do.
No, it's just something I thought about.
Right.
It struck me that I think they were not just in love with the food, but they were even more enamored with the idea that Buddha could throw this pitch. Because he's someone who has just those off-speed pitches that you just don't see coming. Man, he's just so creative and innovative. And then he just threw 105 miles an hour with that pitch, and they were just blown away. So Buddha wins. He has 67 points on our leaderboard. Evelyn has 52, Damar with 42. So there is a really stratified tier here with Buddha running away with the points in this competition. But I think Evelyn and Damar, if they won Top Chef, I don't think either of us would be totally stunned by that. I still think Buddha over the field demonstrated in this episode that he has that kind of range. But in the bottom, look, Kevin, Ashley, as she said on this show, she has been hanging on by the skin of her teeth. She has been in the bottom 6 times this season. She was kicked out. She was eliminated and came back in right away. And she really just undercooked that squid to the point that Padma had to spit it out at the table. And as soon as that happened, I just wrote in my notes, goodbye. Can't survive when one of the judges spits out your food. I'm sorry, can't.
I hate to put it in these terms, but I do feel like she has been, I feel like she's been working on borrowed time for a while now. And she just hasn't been executing her stuff well. It's a problem. And, I think her best dish might have been her first dish on the very first episode, the kitfo, which looked delicious. But there have just been some fundamental errors of just, protein, incoherent dishes. I really love the way she thinks about food. And I loved her seafood tower, clearly. Probably a little spicy for me, but I love jerk shrimp. And I feel like it's been a long time since she's strung together really consecutive, well-executed dishes. Sarah was very disappointing in this sense, and I don't understand what she was thinking in this respect. And maybe it goes back to the problem was she had too much time to think, and didn't just cook. But first of all, tuna tataki with the sesame encrusted tuna, that's a 90s dish. It is the dish you get when you want to eat healthy on the menu. Look, I love fish and I love ahi and great tataki. Look, I love ordering a tataki tuna appetizer, at a place that I know is going to have great fish or where they have a little curveball to it. But sesame encrusted tuna is a 90s mom dish. And it's not terribly interesting. Nobody has ever been wowed by it. Okay, so that's first and foremost.
You know who would agree with that? Sarah would agree with that. I feel like Sarah would agree with that sentiment. You could tell she didn't really love what she did.
Right. And secondly, your sister well. I mean, if the only confinements are you can't do something with fungus, I just think you can come up with something more interesting, a nod to your Jamaican upbringing or something. It's just anything. But I just thought that was, even before she didn't execute it well, I'm like, really? Sheldon, I thought, said it very well, which is you've stormed back into the competition and this is what you want to do? Like this? She's been doing far more interesting stuff in 30 minutes over in Last Chance Kitchen. And I just was really disappointed in the choice. And again, you're right. I think she sensed it too. She also called her a strategic mistake even before she did it, which was, I have a choice to make here. I have this peanut sauce that I've made and it should be, it should be approximate to the fish itself. But if I do that, I'm going to be plating for aesthetics. It won't look particularly good. So I'm not going to put the peanut sauce with the tuna. It'll be plated differently. And she made an aesthetic decision at the expense of taste. And so as a result, the chefs didn't really get the peanut sauce, approximate to the tuna itself, which, the sinewyiness is weird. I've been trying to learn how to do, Tom, I go to this at 6 a.m. Sometimes I go to this wholesale fish market down in downtown Los Angeles, not far from my house. And you can go in and get like beautiful bluefin tuna, the same place that the sushi places go, and you get it at a great price. You got to go into this cold place and put a hairnet on your head, and it's this very intricate process, and it's just like this.
Wait, even you and I have to put a hairnet on?
Oh yeah, even we have to put. It's very funny because I usually wear a baseball cap because it's very chilly in there, as you can imagine, and they just make you put your hairnet over your baseball cap. You look ridiculous, but you do it anyway. And so I've been learning to cook with tuna, and I've had some kind of very sinewy moments where I thought I was going against the grain, and I should have been against the grain, as Shota said, but I went with the wrong grain, and you get this kind of those little white kind of little threads, and it's not tasty. So I've been learning how to do it. It's hard, but I'm just shocked that not only was it an uninteresting dish that nobody really pines for, you settle for, it also, she didn't even have experience in working with raw tuna. So it was just the kind of choke brain, she got lucky. She got lucky that Ashley didn't cook her squid. Because barring that, she would have worked her ass all the way back from Last Chance Kitchen in consecutive weeks, only to go out on a dish, a food she never prepares, wasn't particularly inspired, didn't seem to want to cook, and did not seem to correspond to her sister's passions. It seemed like something she thought she might like. It was just a weird decision all around.
Yeah, she got really lucky here, and Ashley goes home. I kind of thought that it was actually kind of refreshing to see how grateful Ashley was. Like, usually when people get sent home at this stage of the competition, it's a very emotional, they cry, and it's it seems like a huge disappointment for them that they're not able to get to that final stage where they go to a new location. Ashley seemed incredibly grateful for the opportunity, and like almost at peace that she didn't get any further in the competition, and very proud of the fact that she was able to get this far. And I like that self-awareness about her, is that she recognizes she did not compete at the highest level in this show, and she was just happy with her ability to compete. and to try these new things and to learn about herself as a chef. And I thought that was really cool. So shouts to Ashley. I drafted her very high. I thought she came out guns blazing on that first dish, and it felt like, this is going to be a really strong competitor, but it didn't really feel like she was devastated at the very end. And she did seem just very, I don't know, fortunate, like felt like she really grew here on the show. So she goes home and Nick, bless his heart, finally gets in the bottom 3. Although I kind of feel like in any other episode, he's in the middle, but just because they were 3-3 that he had to be in the bottom. His dish didn't seem to really mix very well, or it seemed very different components and didn't seem very cohesive. Tom called it confusing, but I would have loved that dish. That's kind of got me written all over it. I would have loved that one.
Yeah, it seemed like one of those dishes, and Gail expressed similar to the sentiment you're expressing, which is, yeah, I can't defend it from a technical standpoint. It just seemed like I could stand outside, the kind of thing I would standing up, the refrigerator still open with a fork in the Tupperware, just eating it, right? Like, like there are certain dishes that you can't defend aesthetically, technically, or any other way other than the fact that this tastes good. I mean, like, at the end of the day, Combo's pretzels. I mean, there's really like powdery processed cheese in a thick. There's certain foods that just get you. Now, I will say this: I agree with Tom in the sense that I still don't know what that dish was. Like it's been explained to me. It's been shown to me. I've seen people eating it on television, and I don't know if it's like a hot pasta with but then it was like macaroni salad. And I know Adrian said something that needed the creaminess. Well, did it? If it wasn't, I have no idea what that dish was. And I still don't know what it was.
It was a rare misstep for Nick because he's never been in the bottom 3 yet in this competition. And right here, he's almost by default in the bottom. I thought it was fine. It wasn't an egregious mistake. There was nothing in that dish that made me worry about his chances going forward. But I did note that I do think I would have really enjoyed it. And I love salty dishes. So the pork belly and the crab in there, I thought I would just gobble that thing up. But 2 questions for you, Kevin. Question number 1, how do you handle inclement weather? Like you're out on that back porch and it starts lightning.
I live in Los Angeles, man.
There is no inclement weather there.
No, we don't basically have. Once or twice a year it rains. Days in advance.
When the first lightning strikes and the thunder hits, are you like, get me the fuck out of here? I need to get inside.
I guess. Again, I can't remember the last time it's so funny. You grew up in the Southeast like I do. You're right. Like I'm trying to remember what it was like because you'd be like, oh, hey, we planned a day of tennis playing or we're going to go to the pool or whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, it's 85 degrees and sunny. And then the next thing you know, it's like freaking Toto is running through the hatch or something, right? And like a tornado is coming. And I don't recall. I guess the thing about Angelinos and I'm basically at this point, 25 years in an Angelino, is like we're not even equipped. Like the conception that you're going to be disrupted, because what happens is when we do get these rainstorms, because there's nothing blocking it, there's no it's coming in from the west. 5 days in advance, down to the hour, when it's going to pour, because there's nothing stopping it. Like you see that band and it's coming, and it's not like, oh, the Rocky Mountains will subside it or it'll, like the way it does in the interior United States or the Southeast. And so it's like, we're just sort of like, yep, just cancel everything, cancel life for 5 days because we're going to get our big El Nino storm. So I don't know, but I did think it was very amusing that the judges table got canceled on account of rain, which I just thought was so funny.
Yeah, it looked pretty fierce. It was kind of fun to watch them have to call an audible and go inside and sit at the little wooden table, and Sheldon's just kind of like off to the side, just hanging on to that table. It was kind of cool. The producers are just having an absolute panic attack trying to get that thing together, and everything that they set up outside and the beautiful backdrop on the water, and it all goes to shit. So that's my first question. My second question, Kevin. You get $10,000 by Verbo to go anywhere in the world. Where are you going? Buddha chose Rome because he wanted to eat that dish with his wife. Totally get it. Romantic. But when you got that prompt of $10,000 furnished by Verbo, what's your answer?
This is a great parlor game question. So there are a couple different ways you can go here, right? Let's set aside geography for a second. You get $10,000. I've been on VRBO and looked for places maybe to rent with some family member, whatever. So you could do one of 2 things. You could do a week for $1,400 a night at let's say near Tulum or somewhere. where you get like a 4 or 5 bedroom house with 5 baths and a pool near the beach, right? So for a week you have, whether it's you're close with your siblings, or their families, or you just gather your 4 or 5 best friend couples or single, it doesn't matter. And for a week, you just do that, right? The other one would be, okay, 10 grand, that's $300 a night for a month. Hey, let's go to Tuscany. Just Eric and you and the girls, and just go get a 2-bedroom house with a lovely pool in Tuscany and stay the month there, right? Like basically that covers a month's rent. And let's not worry about size, because we're going to be going around and getting rid of bicycles and doing Tuscany and making day trips.
Are my girls sleeping in your room, Kevin, with 2 bedrooms? Like, how does that work?
Well, I am going with you. I don't do children.
Oh, okay. No
disrespect. I love your girls. I'm not going on vacation. I don't want a child anywhere near my vacation. I go to child-free resorts. Bless your people with children. I love you. When they're older, I'll get them an internship out in LA. They can come hang out with me. I do not want children anywhere near my vacation in general. Bless your heart, and I love your girls. But so I think that's the question, right? So you go, are you doing the month just you and the family, or just you and a spouse, or are you doing like, hey, let's blow it out for a week, get a freaking $1,400 beach house, and everybody come to town, and we're just gonna have beautiful dinners, and we'll cook in, or get someone to cook for us in. And I think that's the question.
Is there a place, even if we want to trim it down even further, is there a place on your list for just a weekend, that $3,000 a night? Is that even a thing?
Yeah, I think you can. And I don't know if VRBO does it. We can find out. The yacht. In other words, when I was looking at Panama, which you recommended I was going to do, except COVID canceled it, there are these situations where you pay and you get the captain and the first mate, and like they anchor in the beautiful cove, in the coral cove or whatever, and you go like swimming in the ocean, and then you come back up the ladder after swimming for an hour, and then laid out for you is this beautiful lunch with a chilled bottle of wine and the whole fish, and you can do that for like 4 days at $2,500, and you get like the yacht. You get to live like a tech lord. Yeah. And that is what you would do in that situation when you're talking about. You want to blow like $2,500 a night, 4 nights. That's what you do. You go to like one of the saints in the Caribbean. You know those places better than I do, because I live on the other side of the country. Saint this or Saint that or Saint whatever. The Virgin Islands of Britain or Tasmania, whatever.
Yeah, we did St. Lucia for our honeymoon. Yeah, that type of thing.
Exactly. And I think that's, if you want to do 2,500 times 4, that's what you do. And you get the chef and the first mate and the big old yacht.
I'm voting for the week in Tulum.
Okay. I like that too, with friends and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm voting for.
But I like his choice.
Rome with your partner, a romantic trip with your partner, and it has a story element to it.
Okay. I have something because I know you're Mr. Social Media, and I don't actually participate in social media, but to our listeners, reply to this episode.
Yes.
With the link to your VRBO that you would do for 10 grand. Mark the number of days in the property, and we'll have like a little contest, right? Like who has the best 10 grand VRBO expenditure or vacation. And I think that this is a really fun exercise, Tom. We could do a whole podcast on just this question.
Oh, I'd love this. The rental parlor questions for Kevin. This might be launching a new episode, a new podcast series from Kevin Arnovitz. Is
Call for Traveling.
Here's $10,000. Go find me the coolest vacation.
So that's a good one. I love this gift. I think they should. I like the new sponsor here. I love this sort of this new gift for the chefs. The VRBO blank check or whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean. Look, last thoughts here. Buddha didn't show me anything in this episode that makes me disagree with my notion last week that it is Buddha over the field. That's how good he is on this show. It was cool to see him get emotional there with the victory and what that meant to him and his relationship with his wife. That was cool because we kind of think of him as like a soulless robot, and that is certainly not the case. If he wins Top Chef, I think he goes down as one of the best ever on this show. So even though the competition might not be the strongest, I think Buddha has been that good. And it's kind of cool to see a nerd like him who is actually cared enough about the franchise of this show that he's studied up on it and he has executed every step of the way. So next the preview of the next episode. They're still going to be in Galveston. They're not quite going to the next location. And it seems like they're doing some stuff on a boat, and not too much drama, nothing that like, oh, no cliffhangers, super big cliffhangers here. But all in all, I would put this as either my favorite episode of this season or right behind the Doppelganger episode.
Yeah, no, I like this episode. It is interesting, and we've talked about it each of the last few weeks. There really is a tier system here, and we are seeing Buddha up top with Evelyn, to me, a strong second, with Damar a close third, and we're sort of culling the field here as we imagine we would. Unfortunately, Ashley. I think Sarah still has some issues. She clearly is. And look, there's certain chefs like this where the quick fire just really suits them well. She still needs to get out of her head, I think, a little bit. In fact, I think there might have been, if I'm not mistaken, in the preview, there might have been a suggestion. I think she said something about the fact, like, just pretend you're on quickfire. Just pretend you're on quickfire. It's a real mental game. So yet another reason I really like Sarah in this competition and back in the competition is I feel like the mental pitfalls that exist in this game naturally, she kind of embodies in a great way. Like she's sort of sharing with us, sort of, hey, this is how this game can really get in your head. But she needs to make better decisions next week if she's going to hang out. I still think she's got the chops to make it into a finale, even a final three, but she's got to make just better decisions. And I think she's capable of it.
There's no chef left that I don't think can win this whole thing. That doesn't mean that I think they will win this whole thing, but Nick, Damar, Evelyn, and Sarah on your team, literally the field, and I got Buddha. So literally people in our mentions on Twitter, or hit up the Instagram on Pack Knives on Instagram, or Pack Knives on Twitter and Pack Your Knives on Instagram. Are you taking Team Tom or taking Team Kevin? Because that literally is Buddha versus the field at this point. So you have 164 points. I have 98. It only is 25 points to the winner of Top Chef. So I think I got to run the table here with Buddha in order to have even a chance, a puncher's chance at beating you this season. You have just been absolutely slaying me in this fantasy season. Yeah, but the funny thing is, with no real great, like, no real straight strategy, I got lucky in the draft. Once again, we proved our inability to draft. So in fact, of my 7 contestants, my 5th, 6th, and 7th contestants are still alive, and second is as well only by virtue of Last Chance Kitchen. So my 1, 3, and 4 are all been gone, and frankly gone for quite a while now. For Tom Haberstroh, this is Kevin Arnovitz, and this is Pack Your Knives.